Hi, this is Kelly Dwyer from Bright Livelihoods. I'm here today with Nicole Hugenin from Wild Dream Walks. Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
Welcome. Thanks so much for joining me today.
So excited to be here.
Cool. So we're here to talk about Nicole's inspired career change, career transition, Wild Dream Walks.
Yeah,
Yeah. So Nicole, can you start us off and tell us a little bit about what Wild Dream Walks is?
sure. Um, Wild Dream Walks is it's many things. The main basis of it is a weekly walk that a group of strangers goes on, and they share their wildest dreams. It's a really, really simple concept, but currently we are taking walks in 4 different cities as of this week, actually. And
Congratulations.
yeah. And really, the concept is it's not just a like let's go and bare our souls type of a concept. It's more of a concept that our dreams and our thoughts and our ideas need to be exercised just as much as our bodies do. So it doesn't really matter what dream you share. If you are thinking about making the most luxurious dinner for your family that night, that's there, that's present. Or if you've got these big audacious goals of starting a company, that's there and that's present. It doesn't really matter what you share, it's that you did share. And in that process, you're exercising your muscle of sharing, you're exercising your muscles of connecting with other people, and then also as other people are sharing, you're using your muscles of listening. And it's really helping people to see like this level of interconnectedness and empathy. And as I say, it's just walking, dreaming, and connecting. And the rest of the organization stems from those walks. So myself and other people on the walks get to choose organically who do we want to help go down their walk with them down their dream path. And those things kind of just magically show up, and you get to choose. Like, I want to help that person.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so that's actually phase 2, and it's like ever present right now. So I just spent the last 10 months kind of refining the concept, taking it a couple of different places, and I've walked with over 200 people now in the past 10 months between Colorado and San Francisco.
That's a lot of walking. How many miles would you say that is?
It's a natural way to keep the weight down, but I love it. I was like, it's easy. I've always been the worst workout person, gym person, and I was like, of course, I make a company that allows me to bring that into my life.
Well, you said you're in 4 different cities. What cities are those?
We are in Denver. I lead most of the walks in Denver. I have another Dream Walk leader that leads walks in Boulder, and then I'm training and starting walks in Marin, California, and San Francisco, basically in the Bay Area, and then we just confirmed this week San Antonio, Texas.
Nice. Congratulations. This is really exciting for you and for all of us too. I've gone on a few of the dream walks, and they are really there's something magical about them. The connection that you develop with the other walkers, and it all happens in the span of like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And it's a really nice way to kind of take a break from your day or start your day depending on the time of the walk.
Right. And what I like about it too is it's not transactional. So much of our lives are based out of transactions. And what value can you give to me if I give to you? And so this is a place that there doesn't have to be that.
Well, wait. So for some of those, for some folks who might not totally understand what you mean by that, when you say it's not transactional, be explicitly clear. What do you mean?
Let me try and think of the best example. I mean, the easiest example is you go to the grocery store and you are transacting. That interaction between you and the cashier is a transaction. Or sometimes I run into a lot of entrepreneurs, and they are sharing their business idea but they're sharing to transact to see if somebody has a value, something of value to give back to them. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we have a lot of it. A lot of expectations and a lot of the way we listen is for what am I going to get back? Or we're acutely aware of we're giving a lot. We're giving a lot of information, and we're not getting anything back. And so this is a place where that type of communication style is not necessarily present. There's a time and space for it, but this is more of like just showing up of who you are and sharing a dream. It doesn't matter what dream. And just listening, and you're listening really for things that are different than this transaction. You're listening for the person and connecting. Mm-hmm. And it really is. The way I end up talking about it is way more complicated. Sounds way more complicated than what it actually is. We just go out on a walk, and we talk with each other, and but something does happen, and in the way that it's set up, that something magical happens. And
well, where did you get your inspiration? How did this come to you?
Well, it comes to me from I was in education. I was a teacher and worked in nonprofits and for almost 15 years. And I came to Colorado. I gave myself a month off. I got to the end of a job, and I gave myself a month off. And I came to Colorado not knowing anyone purposely. I was like, I just need to go somewhere where I don't know people. I'm not going to get into their business. I can just be with myself. And at the end of that month, I still had no clue what I was going to do. I was still actually exhausted. I probably slept 12 to 14 hours a day for that entire month. Like my entire career just kind of like of working 60 hours a week and driving 3 hours a day in the Bay Area just kind of like fell on me, and I just needed to sleep. And I slept and I walked a bit and didn't really meet anybody. I was a recluse, which is like not normal for me. And I got to the end of that month, and I went and got my first coffee. And at that coffee shop, I was, for whatever reason, it triggered like the way I used to be, of like going into Starbucks in the morning, getting my breakfast, and spending $16 to eat breakfast and a coffee, running out the door so that I could be at a school, and so it triggered that, and I'm running, and I get to the door, and something in my brain, it's not even my brain, what am I saying? My heart basically just screamed at me, Nicole, slow down now. Turn around and drink your coffee in this coffee shop and just slow down. You still have a couple days before you go home. And so I listened. It was the first time in a long time that I listened to that. And lo and behold, I sat next to this beautiful older woman, beautiful, beautiful older woman. And I smiled, as I do. I always say, like, my heart's tool is my smile. And we started talking. And in that conversation, she just said to me, can I share my wish with you? And I was like, of course you can. And in that, she had this really beautiful wish, which was that one, she had written a book for children, and for more than just children, but it mostly geared towards children, so that they knew that they would always have a friend in nature if they were ever suffering, that they were never alone. And I was just like, right then and there, I was like, okay, I'm going to stay. I'm staying. I went home, and after 3 weeks, I packed up my car, and I just came back out, and her and I continued to meet off and on, almost once to 2 times a month at coffee shops. Then, and I gave myself, my money, talk about like a career transition and like what you need to do in something like that. I had $2,000. That if I had stayed in San Francisco, that would have lasted 2 weeks, maybe a month. I could have pushed it. I don't know how I did it, but actually I know that it actually accessed my creative being to make $2,000 work. in Colorado, in Boulder, for 6 months. And so I had a luxury of that. I really today don't know how I made it happen, but I did. And I met with her during that time. I also was playing with some other ideas. I helped somebody with her startup and wrote some curriculum. I had small gigs here and there, but nothing was really hitting, except for every time I met with this woman, I just came away like completely fulfilled. And in that, we moved from coffee shops to, because neither of us really drank coffee, we were just being nice to each other. And then all of a sudden we were like, let's just go for a walk. And so we went for this wonderful walk in a cemetery. And,
oh gosh, a cemetery of all places.
I know. We're talking, and it's like this very historical cemetery here on the outskirts of Denver, and she's telling me all about it, and we're talking about her book, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I just want to walk down the path of people's dreams with them. That's really what I want to do. And so, and this vision just came to me of bringing groups of people together and see if it was possible. And so the next week I got a bunch of friends out and walked with them, and it worked. And then I just had to start keep taking a step at a time. Mm-hmm. And then the next time, I think you were on one of the first ones where I didn't know anyone. They were all strangers, like second degree of separation type of things. Uh-huh. And I was 45 minutes late for it. It was you had just moved to Denver and didn't realize how long it was going to take you.
Yeah,
it took Boulder. Like a 2-hour drive. I'm like, am I back in the Bay Area? What's going on?
Well, yeah, you were coming up in morning rush hour traffic.
Yeah, what was I thinking? And but still, I still showed up to it. Like that could have, I think, my dream itself, or the vision itself, is so urgent to me that my ego actually goes away. I could have made myself so wrong for being late. There was another walk right after that where I had a lot of people and a lot of personalities that weren't really meshing, and I was more walking with them rather than facilitating, and it was a tough one. And I could have let my ego just be like, all right, that's it. It's not working. But I didn't. I took it. My ego has just been able, because it's my heart is leading, and I constantly trust that it's leading me wherever I need to go, and I just need to listen. I need to let go and just listen. And letting go really of control of how I have learned to do things, and unlearn things. And trust that as I take each step, all I really need to know to do is what my next step is. I don't need to know step 2, step 3, step 4 right now. I just need to know that I'm walking, and I'm taking one step at a time, and that's all I'm thinking about, because it allows me to be insanely present and show up to the idea and my dream, and help it grow. And so now we're at month 10, and these walks are down pat, and I have not reached out once to bring it anywhere else. I've just said, if you're interested, let me know. And in the past week, I had 3, maybe 4 people reach out and be like, what are you doing? I want to know what you're doing and how I can do it. And I don't have to do much.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. Okay. Yeah. So at Bright Livelihoods, we have this concept of soul work and a concept of bridge work, and it sounds like this is your soul work.
Absolutely,
100%. Okay, now here's the $1 million question: is your soul work supporting you financially? So is this all you have to do for work, or is there other work that you're also having to do at the same time?
Yeah, no. For the past year and a half, so. When I got to the end of that 6-month time period where my money ran out, I knew I was not ready to go back to a 9-to-5, and I had to find a way. I had already scaled my life down pretty much to the bare bones, so I was operating a very low budget, and I just needed do what I could to pay my bills. And that was just like another thing, same thing as I was just talking about, like taking one step at a time. I could have gone out and made something happen and could have hustled and gotten a couple of contract work to sustain me for 1 month at a time, but I just kind of kept myself open, and I started as an admin, which is something that I had done years ago to pay my way through college, and was like, okay. And when I entered into that job, I made a deal with this lady. I was like, I'm just starting out. I have to relearn some stuff, but if you can give me the freedom of my time, so that I get to choose when I work, I will get everything done for you. And but I need to have that freedom of my time because I'm also working on this other thing, and it's not consistent. Like it doesn't show up consistently. I take walks sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the evening, sometimes in the middle of the day. So, and she agreed. And then within a month, we had doubled her business, and I became her business manager instead of her admin. And now we have a whole team of like 5 people. And really, though, I was able to notice that I'm still, even though my bridge work is behind the computer screen and not really, I have a master's degree, and it's definitely not in what I'm doing for my bridge work, but it pays my bills. And it allows, because I start out with, this is where I am, I'm so incredibly transparent with all my clients. Now I have several clients. I have a client in Sweden and that I do this type of work for, and I enter in with Wild Dream Walks is my #1 priority, and for me to be at my best self for you, I have to have the free. I actually don't even have to have the freedom of my time. I just need to think that I have the freedom of my time.
What do you mean you just need to think you have the freedom of?
Well, I just need to think that, like, yes, you can get those emails out whenever works for you at 2 in the morning, when in reality, like, the emails need to go out when they need to go out. So
Gotcha.
There's just this sense of autonomy that I need, and I had to figure that out. Like, there's some people, I think it's Daniel Pink, in his books, and he talks, there's like 3 things, underlying motivators for people, and one of which is autonomy. And I didn't read the other 2 because I was just like, I can't have 3 things. I gotta just have 1, or I'm not gonna get anything done. But like that's what the underlying motivator is for me, is like autonomy. And when I'm autonomous, like I am such a better worker and get things done so much better. And then it allows me too to kind of show up to be holistic in a way too, like show up to my body. And sometimes like last night I was in bed at 7:30 on a Saturday night. I was just tired, but I was up at midnight actually, and I slept till midnight, and then I got up and I got an hour's worth of work done because that's what was present for me. Went back to bed and was up at 5:30 and out the door and walking, and that's just the way my life works. Like that's how I work. So yeah.
Would you say that you know, or you have a vision right now for how Wild Dream Walks is going to support you financially? Because as of right now, people don't pay for the walks. They have the option to offer a donation of money for the walk, but it's not required.
Right.
So do you have that vision yet of how it's going to support you financially, or how are you approaching that?
Yeah. So when I first started, I come from Silicon Valley, so I always get it, and people realize like, oh, this idea is sticking with Nicole. We're going to give her advice. And I got all this advice about how to turn it into a marketable business and value proposition, what's your bottom line. And really what I was read into, what people were saying, like, what's your bottom line? It really was like, is this a financially viable company? And then there was also some people too that were looking out for me and were like, we want you to be taken care of. You're a giver. We've watched you give for a very long time, and whatever you build, you need to be able to take care of yourself. And so I went down that path, and it killed it. It killed it turned it into a brain thing instead of a heart thing. And so with that, I made my walks. It's not free. I just operate in a completely different economic paradigm called giftivism. And so the base level weekly walks that I take are on a pay it forward movement. And so that means some people give money. They get really those people. My value is that everybody's dream has the same value. That is my bottom line, and that every single person dreams, and they all have the same value. And then the people that walk get to choose what that walk's value was, and that might be that they bring a friend next time. That might be that they gift $20 or $100. That might be that they become a dream walk leader. And so whatever it is, it's just like it's a circle of giving and receiving. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, when in that itself, I do not make enough to pay all my bills, but I have received more in support than I could have ever dreamed of. And in terms of like things that I could never think that, things that I cannot do, physically do, I can't create a website. And people are intrinsically motivated to give, and they know what they're giving, rather than me saying like going out and seeking out volunteers or what have you. They come up with this idea of like, wow, it really looks like she needs X, and because they know I'm holding this pay it forward container, I get it. It comes to me. It's magic. Within that, I've recently proclaimed, like, I felt the call to urge to say, like, it's time for me to do this full time. And it took a while for that to bubble up and for me to feel confident in saying that out loud. It's a really scary thing, and especially when you're operating in an economic model that has been tested, like actually some Panera Breads are some of them are operated in the same model, some of them, and those ones actually make more money than their standard.
What do you mean operating in the same model? They're in a pay it forward?
Yeah, the same pay it forward giftivism model. So there's there's these outliers of this model. So it's a really scary thing for me to say, like, within a year, I want to be doing Wild Dream Walks full time. But I have to remember, like, I have to walk my own talk. It's all about knowing what my next step is, not what the whole plan is. I know my vision, and I know, and so, like, my next step recently was just saying that out loud, especially to my clients. Like, within the year, I want to be doing Wild Dream Walks full time. And that allowed for a conversation between us, and one of my clients, the two of us were like, I don't want to leave you, and I don't want you to leave, and it helped us to, like, reevaluate how we are doing business together. And there might be something that comes there's a connection between the two of us, between our two businesses, in that we can support each other. And then I just, in telling people that, I then had somebody say, like, well, Nicole, not all, you can have that base level weekly walk that you do, but what about like longer walks where people pay? Like, people will pay for a couple-hour walk. And so it was like, oh, you're right. So in October, I'm doing my first 3-hour paid walk, and it's like just a contemplative walk for people that do not have any clue what their dreams are. And so I'm calling it What Dreams May Come. And I'm just going to test it out and see what happens. So it's just like taking one step and trusting. Taking one step, seeing what happens, and then deciding, okay, what's my next step going to be? And trusting, like, that as you take one step at a time, the universe will kind of show you what should be next. And it's
tell me a little bit more about this trust. So,
yeah,
I've gone through phases in my life where I have been in a very active place of trust.
Yeah,
feeling like I'm in the flow, feeling like there's a little bit of magic in the air, and if I can just continue to stay open and do that, things will come the way they need to come.
Right.
But for someone who is not in that space, do you have any words of advice or wisdom about how to kind of move into a place of trust?
Yeah, go out on a dream walk.
Nice.
That's why and I maybe like it's also everything I do circular, but that's the whole point of the dream walk. It's to start like getting yourself hearing what it is you want. I would say that people that come out over and over on a dream walk, and you don't have to do it with us. You can take yourself out and take your best friend, right? I've been going on these types of walks with my best friend since college. We call them Save the World walks. But the thing is that the more you say it, the more clear you are what it is you want. And so many times, like the first round of saying what we want is not actually what we want. It's what we think we should want. And so if you continue to say it, it gets more clear.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And actually, here's the truth. Actually, and when I'm saying like within a year, I want to be doing wild dream walks full time, I'm actually noticing that in my head, what's actually running is actually by the end of this year, by the end of 2014. That's scary. That's scary, and I'm not ready to say it out loud, even though I just did. And my whole
you sure did.
Right now.
Now it's recorded.
Yeah.
On YouTube.
Yeah. Sure. I'm gonna swear. But the thing is like because I exercise my dream muscle all the time, I notice those things. You start to hear what's the truth? What do I really want? And when you get to what you really want, the steps that you take will be more in line with that. You're not going to the less you'll misstep from the start, from the get-go.
Mm-hmm,
and at every step you got to say, is this still what I want? And then if you say like, actually no, like this isn't, because usually what we want is a feeling, even though, and in disguise of something material or some idea. And so you might start stepping, and you're like, wait, this isn't what it's supposed to feel like, and you redirect. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So like my biggest thing is to exercise it as a muscle. Saying what you really want is a muscle. And the more you can say it out loud, if this is why Wild Dream Walks is part of the formula, it's you usually don't know anybody on that walk. So if you're saying like you want to go and live in Italy, and you've still got, your kids are 15, 16, 17, your husband's like thinking about money and college, and you're saying like out loud, I want to go live in Italy, like once the kids get there. You say that to them, all hell's going to break loose. If you say it on a dream walk, people are going to be like, okay, what? They might ask you like, what's your husband going to say about that? But you gotta practice it, and you might get to this place where it's like it's not just about going to Italy. You're just like, you just need a vacation, or you just want this feeling of riding on a bike down a path of like just with the whole day in front of you. You might get down to like that's just really what I want, and then that becomes much easier to get at than uprooting your whole life and going to Italy, and so. So there's a lot there, but my main advice is just keep sharing, and it doesn't matter what comes out of your mouth. If you can do it in a place where people aren't going to judge you, or set that up, because your truth will finally come out, and you will feel it in your body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amen to that, sister.
Yeah.
Well, Nicole, thank you very much. This has been wonderful chatting with you. Thank you for sharing and for bringing Wild Dream Walks into the world.
Thank you. I am so excited and so thankful, too, for you and for coming out on all the walks and being a big supporter and doing what you're doing, and I'm just excited for us all.
I am too. So here's we offer up a little blessing, hoping that anyone who has watched this video watch this interview will take away a few nuggets of, a few golden nuggets that they can put to use in their lives.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.